They were good then.
Well, contextual relations are always how you have to analyze cards.
Right.
Bad cards don't care if they're bad if they do the trick in that format.
Manriki Gusari.
Manriki Gusari.
So there's Jesse on your right and Skye on your left. And we're going to have an aggressive battle here. Unlike Stoneblade on Stoneblade, we're going to have creatures crashing and spells slinging.
I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see Zoo turn into a control deck.
Right. Usually what happens in this matchup.
I mean, Zoo turns into a control deck against a lot of opponents. When it's playing against Merfolk, Zoo just turns into a control deck. And then at a certain point, usually fairly early if Zoo's doing okay, which usually it does, what it'll do is have some creature that's finally ready to attack. And then it'll just kind of play cleanup crew with one creature going in, occasionally two if the board is completely clear, and hold all of this removal back to be able to finish off anything that comes out afterwards.
Exactly. Now, Skye playing Affinity is going to have a really, really tough time in this matchup. Jesse's build of Zoo is really sort of geared to fight an aggressive deck. He has 3 main deck Grim Lavamancer, as well as 4 Path to Exile, which are 1 white mana, no drawback, RF2 target creature, 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Chain Lightning, 4 Lightning Helix, and out of the sideboard,
3 Ancient Grudge.
3 Ancient Grudge.
What?
Yeah, so this is going to be tough for Skye. He really needs to win game 1 to have a good shot in this matchup.
Now, on the other hand, one of the things that Skye has from the sideboard, I think, oh, it's less effective than I thought. I was looking at the Perish, but it only hits Tarmogoyf and Wild McConahie.
Right. Usually they have more creatures that are green, like Knights of the Reliquary and Noble Hierarch, but not this version of Zoo. One thing Skye does have going for him, though, 4 Master of Ethereum, which will always be bigger than 3 toughness, so only Path to Exile will effectively deal with that. So that's going to be a key card for Skye. That and things like Thoughtcast to just pull ahead.
Oh,
So,
turn 1, 5 permanents in play so far.
5 permanents, 1 power.
What?
And I don't know if that's good or not.
You know, I'm reminded by the apology from Wizards to anyone that dies to an Ornithopter in the old rule book. But
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
In parentheses, in small letters, in one of the last pages, we apologize to anyone who has died to an Ornithopter.
Well, that's a lot of people. That's probably
These days,
most people.
It's a lot of people. Look at that. Memnite, Orny.
Yeah, Skye does have a Master of Ethereum in hand, so if he has like Land Mox Opal or Springleaf Drum, he can actually turn those into threats.
I mean, it's a shame that he didn't have like a Mox and an Arayu.
Wow. That would have been impressive. Jesse fetches up a beautiful black-bordered plateau and is going to cast a 1-drop, it looks like. We'll see what that one is. Oh, no, it just says go. He has a Path to Exile in his hand, but he knows that he doesn't really have to
Ancient
use
Tomb.
that.
Ornithopter.
And Skye is going to be really sad, really sad about this Path
Master
to
of the
Exile.
Ethereum.
Yeah.
There it is. What does that do? Let me just check that out.
Let me just
it's
pass that
1,
immediately.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, it's pretty big.
Yeah,
how much? How big is that again? 6, 7, 7?
Wow,
Wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah, I guess I'll just have to path that then. Bang.
Oh,
And Skye will not even get a land.
He's like, do you want to search? Nah.
Now, and attack for 1. Life total is 18 apiece. But Jesse obviously in the driver's seat here. And draws another Path to Exile. Wow. Savannah. Tarmogoyf looks like will be his play. Making sure those Ornithopters have no other abilities. And Tarmogoyf.
So one of the things that can happen here is if Skye draws a cranial plating, he can cast it and equip it, and that plating will end up doing +7.
Yeah, that'll be huge. But instead,
but
he just
does not
says
look
go.
like he did that.
No. So a brutal game 1 where Skye was all in on his Master of Ethereum, which promptly got pathed. And now Jesse's looking at a grip of Path to Exile, Lightning Helix, fetch lands. So just a lot of removal spells. So it's a race against time. Whether he can kill Skye before Skye draws something like a cranial plating, or a land in a Tezzeret. So after Jesse fetches up his Taiga,
Is that Bolt Path something?
it looks like it. Bolt Path Helix.
And Skye rightly takes it. He's not under a fast enough clock yet to have a reason to do anything else.
No chump blocking yet. Skye would love to draw a Thoughtcast right here. Good draws for him are Thoughtcast, Cranial Plating, Master of Ethereum, Mirror Enforcer's okay. Etched Champion would be excellent too.
I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, he turned face down his Master of Ethereum. There's a Springleaf Drum. What's that do?
Absolutely nothing right now, Jesse. And gets in for 1 damage. Skye thinks about it, or rather Jesse thinks about it, but just takes it. And Vault of Whispers go. So untaps Tarmogoyf and draws a
I actually
Grim
would
Lava.
like him to bolt one of those artifacts.
Really?
Attack after the creature has not, after he's not been blocked. Bolt one. It gives his Tarmogoyf a 4/5 rather than a 2/3.
Right. I don't see any reason to do that.
Not a
simply
bullet, chain lightning. If he's a I guess it'd have to be a sorcery. So
Right.
never mind.
Sorcery would be good.
Yeah, it'd have to be the sorcery for the chain lightning, and then he'd have to do it before combat. So
But he just drew a Grim Lavamancer, so that's gonna make that Tarmogoyf a little bigger with an artifact going to the yard.
it'll make it a little smaller too, though. It's right now.
So Skye draws, looked like a Frogmite. Not sure though.
Attack for 1.
It's gonna be a long, tough road for Skye Gillis this game. Frog.
There's a frog.
Not a Spore Frog. That's a Frogmite. And Jesse's turn. Another
Tarmogoyf.
Things are not looking good for Skye. He only has a few more draw phases before this is going to be hopeless. Now, let's say Skye's draw included a Tezzeret Agent of Bolas instead of a Master of Ethereum. He would be in way better shape. So even though this looks really lopsided, it easily could have gone the other way.
It still can, actually.
Yeah, it still can.
And Grim Lavamancer eats Frogmite.
Yep, Dead Frogmite. Tarmogoyf still at 2 power, but Jesse can use that fetch land, make it 3 power.
Actually, it's a 3 power. It's got creature,
you're right.
artifact, land.
That's not just an artifact. That's a creature too. So Jesse gets a basic mountain.
So it could be a 4 power Tarmogoyf. I can't remember what he took out of his yard.
2 lands.
Okay, so that means it's a 4 power Tarmogoyf. It's instant land, creature, artifact.
Yep, only sorcery missing that's likely to go to the graveyard this game.
Any tribal in there anyway?
No tribal.
That's too
No
bad.
tribal.
So it's 4. There we go.
Interesting though, you don't actually have to have that die on the right number.
I think actually if you are using a die as a marker like that, that if you don't have it on the right number on purpose, that is a miscommunication, and that you would be miscommunicating the game state.
Really, I think they might have actually changed that. I think you might be able to do that now.
I would be surprised. I'd be surprised.
So Skye draws a Mox Opal, attacks for 1 with Memnite, and says go.
No need to cast that Mox Opal, I would say.
Probably
Would
not.
have been okay holding that one in your hand.
Well, what else do you do with something that costs 0?
It's true.
You
It's
cast
true.
it.
You know, this Affinity might be if you've got a good build of Affinity, a good deck to give to your friend who isn't necessarily that skilled at playing Magic, because they can just cast everything,
Right.
and see if it works.
Count their artifacts. Oh, that's enough. A Mirror Enforcer.
Another frog. In for 1.
Yep, this is going to be a slow, painful death for Skye Gillis. Oh, or maybe not. He's getting bolted. So I guess Jesse's plan is just to Grim Lavamancer him out. Oh, wow, that's 9 points of burn. Yeah, that'll do it.
Zot, 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 zot. Bzz. It's not going to get any easier for Skye.
Nope.
Now, obviously, Skye had all of his eggy wigs in one Master of Ethereum shaped basket. So when that got cracked open, there wasn't anything left. But he does have other cards that would have been powerful if he'd drawn them. Cranial Plating, Tezzeret would have been very, very good.
Etched Champion.
Etched Champion would have been excellent. And none of those cards actually ended up showing up.
No, that's sort of the problem with Affinity. You fill your deck with all these really situational cards that are awesome when you get the great draw, but later in the game, when you're drawing Ornithopters, Memnites, Frogmites, Mox Opal, Springleaf Drums, all these cards, Signal Pests, they just don't do much.
Now, Jesse has a strong number of cards he can bring in, as we talked about before. 3 Ancient Grudge as the real big kick in the face.
Right. Expect to see 3 Ancient Grudge and an Umezawa's Jeep from him. He could bring in Price of Progress, but like we said, the Zoo deck should be the control deck in the matchup. He shouldn't bring that one in.
Yeah, I expect his 4 Goblin Guides are going to go away.
They should.
And that's the first part. That's easily 3 Ancient Grudge and a Jite.
Right. So that's a pretty easy swap. -4 Guide, plus those 4. He could bring in the second Sylvan Library if he wanted, but I don't think he will. He'll probably just keep the deck pretty similar. Pretty easy sideboarding for Jesse. Looking at Skye's sideboard, he has 5 Dredge Hate, 1 Crypt, 4 Relic. Those won't come in. 1 Aethersworn Canonist won't come in. 2 Spellskite. Those will. Really good against Grim Lavamancer. Lightning Bolt, Lightning Helix, Chain Lightning. Those will come in. Dismember, I'm not so sure about that one.
I don't know that Dismember would come in, honestly.
No, I don't think he needs it.
I think it's possible that Perish will come in, just because Tarmogoyf, even though it's one of the only creatures that Jesse has, it's also one of the only answers that Skye has that he can to a Tarmogoyf. And there are those draws where a Zoo deck can be like, lead out with a Nakatl Goyf, and then if you Perish, you can be in incredible shape. I think he has enough stuff that's not great that he can sideboard to make that happen.
Definitely. And actually, rethinking it, I would actually like to see Skye bring in some number of these Relic of Progenitus. Because, as far as he's concerned, Jesse's deck does play Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but he doesn't know that. So, Knight, Tarmogoyf, making Tarmogoyf an 0-1 at any time in the game is really good.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely used Relic as specifically a Tarmogoyf answer, where I can have any old creature that I want block the Tarmogoyf.
Right.
And my creature will probably die, and then at the end of the turn, I'll sack the Relic, draw a card, so it's not like I lost 2 cards for 1. It's just a straight 1-for-1 trade. Right.
So what Skye should do, Skye should side out all 4 Signal Pests. That card's traditionally really bad against any deck with a lot of removal. Memnite, also really, really unexciting. 1 Wild Nakatl, Loam Lion, Kurde. One of those means that Memnite's not very useful. He can't side out too many of those effects, of those low artifacts, but some number. So I'd like to see him bring in 2 Spellskite, 2 Perish, and some number of Relic for all the Signal Pests, and between 2 and 4 Memnites. That's what I think he should do. But we'll see what he does. So, do you see Skye even winning a game?
No.
After board? No, don't think so?
No.
No.
I think Jesse starts out ahead and gets further ahead.
Yeah, I think so too.
Now, to be fair, I think Skye has maybe about a 20 or 25% chance of winning game 2. And then if he wins and then is on the draw, I think he has maybe like maybe something like an 18 to a 23% chance of winning game 3. So what we're really talking about is somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6% chance to win this match.
Wow, that's really low. I would put it a little higher than that. The Affinity deck can definitely just explode. Especially with Ancient Tomb, he can just put a lot of power on the battlefield in the first couple turns. So
I agree, but I see that fighting against Bolt, Path, Chain, Helix, Ancient Grudge, and Tarmogoyf on D.
It'll be tough, but look at it this way. Let's say Jesse just happened to not draw Path to Exile in that game. He would have died to that Master of Ethereum. That was a 7-7 on turn 2.
That's fair.
I'm not sure. I think it might be a little closer than you're giving it credit for. I think Skye's going to force a 3rd game, for sure.
I will bet you the cap of my pen.
Oh, wow. Well, the only thing I have to bet against is the cap of my water bottle. Okay. So you're on.
There we go. Cap v cap.
So are both players mulliganing here, or are they still shuffling?
Every day they're shuffling.
Right.
Attention Magic players, this is the last call for Two-Headed Giant sign up. If you want to play the Two-Headed Giant event, please come to the Tomato Stage.
And our tech director is also jumping in on this bet. He's betting a basic mountain that there will be a game 3. So
I could use a basic mountain. You know why?
yeah.
For proxying.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
It already has a proxy.
It already has a proxy on it.
Oh, shoot.
Well, I don't think I'm going to let him into this bet.
Yeah, you're excluded. You're excluded, Jesse. So they're drawing their openers. Skye, of course, on the play. And he's pondering. And, ooh, mulligan. That really hurts. That really hurts against an Ancient Grudge deck. A deck with so much removal. He really wants to keep 7.
And also just the nature of how Affinity works.
Yeah.
I mean, every less card means that Frogmites and Mirror Enforcers are all the harder to cast.
Yeah. So if Skye can chain together a good draw with Thought Casts and maybe finish up with Tezzeret, which is traditionally hard for a creature deck to deal with, he'll have a shot. But he's going to 5. That must mean Jesse's on 6 since they were both shuffling up at the same time. 4?
Now Skye's going down to 4 cards.
Wow.
I don't know. Okay, what's the dream 4-card hand?
Ancient Tomb probably is involved. No, honestly, it's probably like 2 artifacts, 2 Thought Casts.
What about Seat of Synod, Mox Opal, Memnite, Thoughtcast?
That would be good.
Oh, there's 2 of the 3.
But if he had a Mox Opal, he'd have cast.
Actually, Mox Opal, Thoughtcast into Thoughtcast.
Ooh, that would be good. So Jesse pondering what to do with all these cards. He has double the number of starting cards to Skye, 8 to 4. He uses his fetch. Going to go get a dual land. Looks like a Taiga. Settles on Plateau. Yeah, it's certainly going to involve multiple Thought Casts for Skye Gillis. I don't see any other way.
I could also see a turn 3 or turn 4 Tez being another dream draw to make something happen.
That could do it. And Jesse just has a Loam Lion. And that is a Thought Cast in his hand, so he'll be able to cast that. Oh, Mox Opal.
Hey!
All right.
What did I tell you?
into Thought Cast. Springleaf Drum. No, that's not
that
good.
just land?
That was Seed of the Synod and Vault of Whispers.
But I did call the...
this is exactly what you said, actually. And Skye should not have attacked there. Trades his Memnite. Well, actually, no, that's fine. That's fine. That Loam Lion would have become bigger real quick. Usually you don't want to trade when you mulligan a lot compared to your opponent, but in that case it's probably fine.
He was certainly going to get overwhelmed by the Loam Lion in a mere moment.
A split second.
Mere moment is going to be one of the new mechanics in Dark Ascension.
So is that like split second where only one person can respond once? A mere moment? A small second? No, I don't know. Taiga comes into play. And if Jesse has an Ancient Grudge, I'd be really tempted to just start going after the lands if I was Jesse. I don't think it's right, but I probably would do it. So Goblin Guide.
Oh, I don't like that.
No, you don't want to give your opponent lands when he mulls to 4. And there's the attack. Springleaf Drum. Okay. Read it again. So that also just produces mana, not going to do anything for Skye, who's very quickly running out of time.
I'm not even particularly excited about Goblin Guide in Zoo, period, let alone playing a Goblin Guide in Game 2 in this matchup.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cards that people should side out a lot, but they don't. Goblin Guide is best against a control opponent who you have to kill quickly, but these games, when your opponent doesn't mull the 4, should take a while.
Well, and then the other thing, Jesse doesn't mind if the game goes long. If the game goes long, he is the control deck in this matchup. He will win a long game.
Right. The longer the game goes, the more time he has to draw Ancient Grudges, the more time he has to draw his Multitude of Burn, and the worse Skye's draws get later in the game. Springleaf Drums are useless in multiples, Mox Opals are useless in multiples. Same can be said with things like Ornithopter. So this draw for Skye will have to be something good, or this game is virtually over, as Jesse has 9 points of burn in his hand. Swings for 4, reveals a Frogmite. That's not going to be good enough.
Draw the Frogmite. Hey, are we surprised? There it is.
A free 2/2. Whoa.
And Skye trying to load some kind of bluff, even though he clearly indicated he was going to lay down a card next to his lands.
It's okay, it's the reverse bluff.
It could be. It could be. If I were on the other side of the table, I don't think I would take it as such.
No.
If it was Patrick Chapin that did that, then I would read that as a reverse bluff.
Skye needs a dispense justice right here. Metalcraft.
Oh, and another frog. Poor
And
frog.
Down to 10 goes Skye. And if I were Jesse, I would just show him my hand of burn.
I might just start casting it.
Yeah, that works
But
too.
to be fair, I mean, something could go wrong, and
Right.
having it is just fine.
Sylvan
There we go.
Library.
There we go.
It is.
I like that card.
So Jesse needs to screw up Sylvan Library, get a game loss for it. It needs to happen here.
Now Skye reveals the card he didn't want to reveal last time he cast Frogmite. The Seat of Synod.
He's getting tired of holding it in his hand.
It is difficult to do.
Most Affinity players are at their most comfortable with 0 cards in hand. That's a fact.
Huh. That's probably why I've never really gotten into playing Affinity. To be fair, I did play Affinity at Regionals once, so...
How'd you do?
John Stolzman tied for top 8. I did not. I got top 16.
Okay.
Sylvan.
Sylvan
This is the Necro Hut.
into 3 great spells. Oh boy. But which one to use? I think it was Tarmogoyf, and a white card. Not sure what that one was. Might just be an alternate art path or something. Or a Loam Lion. I guess it was Wild Makatl, Tarmogoyf, Loam Lion. Jesse pondering his next move versus an opponent who has all mana. Decides to attack and reveals another Springleaf Drum. And again, that's just the problem with Affinity. There's too many cards that don't do anything late in the game.
Goyf comes down.
Counting the Goyf, going through the motions at this point. As Skye's turn, yeah, there's the scoop. 2 really lackluster draws from Skye Gillis. I wish we saw the Affinity deck come out to play a little more there, as Etched Champion with a cranial plating on it is almost unbeatable for someone who doesn't have Ancient Grudge right at the ready. So
I think you owe me the cap to your bottled water.
we're actually going to do that on camera so the viewers at home can see my shame.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
and
fair enough.
and your joy.